preferably in total anonymity, and I'll fade off into the sunset with some better performance that hopefully I had some small role in.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Senator Scott. Senator King.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Total anonymity is something all of us seek, but none of us achieve.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I understand your impulse. I apologize for not being here. I was at a Veterans Affairs Committee on the House side, and I know there's been a great deal of discussion about the potential cuts in the workforce. What I'm interested in, there's the discussion of 8%, that's 70,000 people. What I'm interested in of you as a manager, how do you intend to go about that? Because the cuts that have been occurring throughout the federal government so far haven't been very thoughtful. All probationary people, for example, that's not a terribly rational way to make these decisions. There may be great people who are probationary. So what would the process be whereby you reduce the Department of Defense workforce by 70,000 people?
Yeah, most of the cuts that are potentially that might happen going forward have not yet been made, and hopefully, if I'm fortunate enough to get through, I think that I can be helpful in the analysis, study, the considerations.
You're the chief operating officer. You shouldn't be helpful. You're in charge of this process.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to know the process you intend to follow.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what role the secretary would want me to play, but assuming I am in charge of that, we would look at the exact detail of people, who's doing what jobs contribute what do we need, what don't we need, study it carefully, and really come up with a concrete, specific, granular plan before we would have final.
Firing all probationary employees would not be would not be how you would go about it. Is that correct?
Well, I wasn't involved with that. I don't know the detail, so not fair for me to say. And
no, but you can comment on the rationality of firing all probationary employees, some of whom maybe have been in the department for 10 years and just got promoted and are therefore probationary. Others may be the best person the department's ever hired, but they've only been there for a year. Do you think it's a rational process to simply arbitrarily fire all probationary employees?
You know, I don't know how it was done. I don't know the considerations.
No, I'm asking you not how it was done, but I'm asking you if that approach is a rational way to reduce a workforce. Fire everybody that's been hired in the last couple of years. Is that a good management practice? Is that what you would have done at Cerberus?
Well, I will say that we have over 900,000 civilian employees.
Right.
So while every person counts, and is of course very important, it's there's going to be some change that in numbers that are more significant.
That's not my question. There's been a stated goal of reducing the workforce by 8%. That's 70,000 people.
Yeah.
You're the chief operating officer. Presumably, you'll be in charge of the process of reducing the workforce by 70,000 people. I want to know how you're going to do it. And one of my questions is, are you going to use the arbitrary yardstick of probationary employees? Yes or no?
I don't know the considerations or the detail of what was thought before that cut. What I can tell you is if I'm in there, we will carefully look at the cuts, balance and weigh what we need and what we don't, be careful not to cut into mission, and do it in a granular, bottoms-up, person-by-person, detailed way.
So does that answer mean you're not going to cut all probationary employees arbitrarily? Is that a no to that answer to that question? It sounded like it. This is a pretty straightforward question. Are you going to fire all probationary employees first to get to the 70,000? Yes or no?
Have to look at the detail, don't know yet. I don't think, and I don't know the considerations that were thought through before those cuts were made.
Okay. You're a smart guy. You know what I'm asking. I don't understand why you can't tell me yes or no whether this is going to be one of the tools you use to reduce the workforce. Let me change the subject. There's a lot of discussion around here about reinvigorating the defense industrial base. Any thoughts on how we actually do that? I've heard that phrase 1,000 times. I've never heard anybody say exactly how we go about it.
I think we need to bring in new companies. We have great manufacturing capability in the United States. For example, if we were to call up General Motors or Ford and say, we need you in our defense base, find ways under OTA or sole source where we can give new companies, especially the ones that scale and can operate. So much is talked about venture. Far more important, in my opinion, is scale and operations or larger businesses. They are at a disadvantage competing with the big defense companies. They're not in the bids and proposals and contracting area. So there's a lot of restrictions, a lot of tough things to get in there. We got to make it easier for them. Maybe not the most competitive answer on the surface, but will lead to much more competitive in the future. I would go to our big manufacturing companies, give them a shot on new programs if we think their capabilities can meet it, and let them figure out a way under FAR to give them a shot without a wide-scale competition with all our big defense companies, which, by the way, are too consolidated.
Thank you,
Thank
Senator.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. And as a matter of fact, Senator King and Mr. Feinberg, it is a fact that General Mills actually used to be in the defense